Assalamu alaikum madada na makaka, wazee kwa vijana.
Hi guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel. This is a Pusha Pull and my usual show is Youth and Politics. And so today I'm going to analyze the BBI report. I'm going to give you the analysis, like how the events or how the draft has been made and the proposals, everything. And of course, I'm going to tackle it systematically the way it has gone because it is touching on each and every part of the Kenyan constitution. So, I beg all of you to read, and if you've not read it, please see the highlights below, and I guess you will get to understand it and make your own choice whether the BBI report is for all Kenyans or is for a few people who are creating seats or who are just tumbocrats for their own benefits. So be with me in this channel, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Also, be watching our videos, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Let's take this journey together. So, the BBI report proposes to because of the clauses. So the BBI report proposes to amend Chapter 2 of the Kenyan Constitution. So, and Chapter 2 of the Kenyan Constitution, you all know that it talks about the Republic of Kenya. So Kenya is a republic. So it proposes to amend Chapter 2 of the Constitution on formative aspects of the Republic to address regional integration, cohesion, shared prosperity, and the centrality of the economy. So the aspiration is to enhance Kenya's standing and leadership in the region and to balance production and sharing. So it is under clause 2 of the bill, and it proposes that it wants to insert Article 10A, that is regional integration and cohesion, into the constitution to recognize integration and cohesion of the Eastern African region and Africa as integral towards achieving national economic goals. So the provision obligates the states to take policy and legislative measures for the attainment of this deal. And of course, there's also clause 3 of the same so of the bill process also to insert Article 11A, that is economy and shared prosperity. And this is to anchor the aspiration of a new economic model based on value creation and that provides equitable opportunities for all the people, promotes industrialization and supports small and macro enterprises. And on Chapter 3, that is, we all know Chapter 3 talks about citizenship. The BBI report proposes to amend Chapter 3 of the Constitution on citizenship to introduce a new article, and that is on the responsibility of a citizen to enhance patriotism and set out the duties of a citizen to the country and to fellow citizens. So clause 4 of the bill also proposes to insert Article 18A, and that is responsibilities of a citizen into the Constitution to consolidate the principles of national ethos, which comprises the spirit of oneness, honesty, and integrity, and to set out moral principles to be adhered to by every citizen. So the responsibilities include the duty to promote harmonious living with other citizens, also to pay taxes and contribute to national development, among others. So this article also seeks to give life to the words of our national anthem, that when the individual thrives, the country thrives. On Chapter 4, the bill proposes to amend Chapter 4 of the Constitution on the Bill of Rights to provide a constitutional underpinning for privacy of personal data of citizens as an emerging area in human rights owing to technological advancements. And so that is clause 5 of the bill proposes to amend Article 31 that is privacy. I know privacy is a very vital issue, and BBI proposes to tackle it, to change it. I don't know what's your take on this, but after I've read to you what the BBI proposes, I guess you will have no, but before that, you must know what Article 31 on the other side stands for or proposes, and that is under the Bill of Rights. And I read for you Article 31 on the other side. So it says, Article 31 of the 2010 Kenyan Constitution, every person has the right to privacy, which includes the right not to have A, their person, home or property searched, B, their possession seized, and then C, information relating to their family or private affairs unnecessarily required or revealed, or lastly, the privacy of their communications infringed. So that's what BBI is trying to come up. And then, so what is the BBI trying to say is about privacy. It will amend Article 31 and say, to incorporate the right for the protection of personal data of citizens. The proposed amendments protects personal data of citizens in view of the advancement and adoption of digital technology by a large percentage of the population and boosts the taming of surveillance capitalism. And of course, your rights will still be infringed. Then we also look at Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution. I don't know all of you if you understand Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution, because Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution talks about, is it leadership and integrity? Because Chapter 4 talks about rights. Then Chapter 6 is leadership and integrity. And on to leadership and integrity, this is what the BBI proposes. So it wants to amend Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity to strengthen the fight against corruption by providing a mechanism for more expeditious conduct of investigation, prosecution, and trial of corruption-related matters. So that is Clause 6 of the bill proposes to amend Article 80 about legislation on leadership to require Parliament to enact legislation establishing mechanisms to facilitate the expeditious investigation, prosecution, and trial of cases relating to corruption and integrity, so as to achieve speedy disposal of such matters. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 7 of the Kenyan Constitution about the representation of the people, so as to enhance transparency and fairness of representation in the electoral system by changing the electoral system to give effect to the principles set out in Article 81D and 89.7b. This is to promote electoral competition based on ideologies and values, and to ensure that every vote cast by a citizen counts. So Clause 7 that is added amendment, that is, it wants to amend Article 87 about electoral disputes, also to remove the jurisdiction to handle disputes arising from the nominations of candidates by political parties from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and vest this jurisdiction in the Political Parties Disputes Tribunal, so as to achieve speedy adjudication of those disputes and also streamline the mandate of the Commission. The amendment further seeks to broaden modes of service of a petition relating to an election to include print and electronic media, to take cognizance of the advancement in technology. And then Clause 8 of the bill also proposes to amend Article 88, that is Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, to bar persons who have, within 5 years preceding an election, held office or stood for election as president, deputy president, county governor, or a member of parliament from being members of the commission. The amendment proposes to include some of the offices which were not part of this list. The amendment also specifies the membership of the commission in the constitution to include 4 members to represent political parties. Hey, I'll give my views later on that. So it means that we shall have each party having their member in IBC, and this will lead to some issues. But anyway, let me continue analyzing this. I'll give my views later. So clause 9 of the bill proposes to amend Article 90, about allocation of party list seats, so to promote the principles of equality of the vote and entrench ideals of a transparent electoral process. The proposed amendment provides for the members of the National Assembly to be drawn from both single member and multiple member constituencies. And further, the candidates to be nominated from a party list for county assemblies shall be allotted on the basis of the total votes received by their political party, as opposed to the current practice where such allocation is based on seats won by the political party. Then lastly, clause 10 of the same proposes to amend Article 91, that is about basic requirement for political parties. So also this to require political parties to take measures to implement the principle that not more than 2/3 of the members of elective or appointive body shall be of the same gender. So that will be tackling about the 2/3 gender rule. On to Chapter 8 of the Kenyan Constitution, and all of us know that is about legislature or legislation, if we are not wrong, and I know all of us should be reading the Kenyan Constitution. So that is legislature, and on the legislature, this bill or BBI proposes to remodel the parliamentary system by including the government in the National Assembly. The executive will be represented in the National Assembly by the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, Cabinet Ministers, and the Attorney General. What? The office of the leader of the official opposition is also established. So the existing disqualification for the member of the county assemblies from being qualified to be elected as members of parliament is removed. So the bill further proposes to amend the composition of parliament to give effect to the gender equity principle. And that is clause 11 of the bill proposes to amend Article 97 about membership of the National Assembly. This to provide for the member of the National Assembly to be drawn from both the single member and multiple member constituencies. Further, this amendment proposes to include the leader of the official opposition as a member of the National Assembly and the cabinet ministers who are members of the National Assembly and the Attorney General as ex officio members of the National Assembly. Clause 12 proposes to amend Article 98, and Article 98 speaks about the members of the Senate. So to structure the membership of the Senate to achieve gender purity or parity pursuant to the provisions of Article 27(8) and 81(b) as read with Article 96(1). Clause 13 of the bill also proposes to amend Article 99, that is qualification and disqualification for elections as member of parliament. Also, this seeks to remove disqualification barring members of the county assemblies from being qualified to be elected as members of parliament. So previously, in the previous constitution, members were disqualified for you to vie as a member of parliament. So there were some restrictions, and not every member of the county assembly could be elected in the National Assembly. And I hope that you good viewers have also looked at the previous constitution because we don't want to work on assumptions. We want to work with something that truly means a lot to us, because the amendments are not meant for the leaders but for us. It will affect us and no one else. And I would like to read Article 99. It says, unless disqualified under Clause 2, a person is eligible for election as a member of parliament if the person A is registered as a voter, B satisfies any educational, moral and ethical requirements prescribed by this constitution or by an act of parliament, and is nominated by a political party or is an independent candidate who is supported, Roman 1, in the case of election to the National Assembly by at least 1,000 registered voters in the constituency, or in the case of election to the Senate by at least 2,000 registered voters in the county. Then Clause 2, a person is disqualified from being elected as member of parliament if the person A is a state officer or other public officer other than member of parliament. I guess this is just an example that I've just read Article 99 of the 2010 Kenyan Constitution. Clause 14, according to the BBI proposals, Clause 14 of the bill proposes to insert a new article, that is 107A, about the leader of official opposition into the Constitution. So the article provides that the leader of official opposition shall be the person who received the second greatest number of votes in a presidential election and whose political party or coalition of parties has at least 25% of the members of the National Assembly. So that's exactly what the BBI proposes. Clause 15 of the bill proposes to repeal and replace Article 108 about party leaders with a new article, that is 108, Order of Presidents in the National Assembly. Also to provide for the new order of presidents in the National Assembly to include the Prime Minister and the leader of official opposition. Clause 16 of the bill proposes to amend Article 113 about mediation committee and to expand the period within which a bill shall be referred to the President for assent from 7 days to 14 days. This is to allow for adequate time for consultation and refining the bill by the institutions involved in the legislative process. And finally, Clause 17 of the bill proposes to repeal Article 123 about decisions of the Senate, to do away with the concept of voting by delegation in the Senate and consequently result to members of the Senate having an equal vote. The amendment originates from a proposal seeking to amend Article 98 that equalizes representation of the counties in the Senate. That is Chapter 8. About Chapter 9, the Executive, the bill proposes to amend Chapter 9 of the Constitution on the Executive to broaden the executive structure to achieve inclusivity, cohesiveness, and unity for the benefit of the people of Kenya. So this chapter introduces the office of the Prime Minister and 2 Deputy Prime Ministers with the leadership roles in the executive and parliament. It also provides that cabinet ministers may be appointed from among members of the National Assembly. So about this Chapter 9, there are some clauses, and Clause 8 or Clause 18, of the bill proposes to amend Article 131. Clause 8 of the Bill of Rights proposes to amend Article 130. Article 130, that is the National Executive, to introduce the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers. Clause 19 of the bill proposes to amend Article 131 And Article 131 talks about authority of the president. Also to include the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers in the list of persons who shall assist the president in the exercise of the executive authority. The amendments also proposes to rename the office of the Cabinet Secretary as Cabinet Ministers to effect a profile change of this office, noting that some holders may be appointed from the members of the National Assembly. Clause 20 of the bill proposes to amend Article 132 about functions of the President to provide for the President to report on the progress in achieving the economic and social rights guaranteed under Article 43 by submitting a report to debate to the National Assembly. Clause 21 of the bill proposes to amend Article 134 about excess of presidential powers during temporary incumbency. As a consequence, or as a consequential amendment of renaming the office of cabinet secretaries as cabinet ministers. Then clause 22 of the bill proposes to amend Article 138, that is procedure at presidential election, to remove the condition that requires a presidential election to be cancelled and a new election held where a person nominated as a deputy president dies on or before a scheduled election. This is to ensure that a presidential election is held despite the death of a running mate of the presidential candidate to avoid an uncertainty and minimize tension in a presidential election. Article 23 of the bill proposes to amend Article 140 about questions to validity of presidential election to increase the period during which the Supreme Court is required to hear and determine a petition on question as to validity of a presidential election from 14 days to 30 days. This to provide a more realistic period of finalizing the presidential election petition and is informed by previous experience. Clause 24 of the bill proposes to insert new articles, that is Article 151A, Article 151B, Article 151C, and Article 151D about the office of the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers to provide for the mode of appointment of the Prime Minister and the two Deputy Prime Ministers. The function of the Prime Minister shall be to coordinate and supervise government functions. The Prime Minister is to be nominated by the President from among the elected members of the National Assembly from a particular party having a majority of members in the National Assembly through a stipulated procedure. The nominee shall not assume office until his or her nomination is confirmed by resolution of the National Assembly supported by a majority vote of the members. If the second nominee for a Prime Minister proposed by the President is not confirmed, the President shall appoint the Prime Minister without reference to the National Assembly. The Prime Minister may be dismissed by the President or through a vote of no confidence in the National Assembly. The amendment further provides for the Deputy Prime Ministers to be appointed from among the Cabinet Ministers. Clause 25 of the bill proposes to amend Article 152, that is Cabinet, to provide for a mixed cabinet with some members of the cabinet being drawn from the members of National Assembly. The proposed amendment further provides for the membership of the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Ministers into the cabinet. Clause 26 of the bill proposes to amend Article 153 about the decision, responsibility, and accountability of the cabinet as a consequential amendment of renaming the office of the Cabinet Secretary as Cabinet Minister. Clause 27 of the bill proposes to amend Article 155 about the Secretary to the Cabinet to remove the requirement for the vetting of the Secretary to the Cabinet by the National Assembly. Clause 28 of the bill proposes to amend Article 155 about Principal Secretaries or PSCs to remove the requirement for the vetting of the Principal Secretaries by the National Assembly. This to ensure the public service remains impartial and ready to serve the people under governments of any political color and ensure that their accountability is administrative and technical. Clause 29 of the bill proposes to amend Article 156, that's about Attorney General, to clarify that as a member of the Cabinet, the Attorney General shall perform the functions of a Cabinet Secretary. What? Hey! Anyway, kuna kazi hapa. So the Attorney General is also will also be performing the work of a Cabinet Secretary or Cabinet Minister. Anyway, ni sawa. Clause 30 of the bill proposes to amend Article 157, that is Director of Public Prosecutions, to enhance the qualification for appointment as the public or Director of Public Prosecution to the same as that of a judge of the High Court or Court of Appeal, sorry. I repeat, Clause 30 of the bill proposes to amend Article 157, and Article 157 talks about the Director of the Public Prosecution. Also, to enhance the qualification from appointment as the Director of Public Prosecution to be the same as that of a judge of the Court of Appeal. Clause 31 of the bill proposes to appeal or repeal Article 158, that is removal and resignation of Director of Public Prosecution, to align the removal and resignation of the Director of Public Prosecution with that of the constitutional commissions and independent offices. This to reflect that the office of Director of Public Prosecution is proposed to be included as an independent office in Chapter 15 of the Constitution. Chapter 10, the bill proposes to amend Chapter 10 of the Constitution, and Chapter 10 talks about judiciary. So it proposes that change of the Constitution on the judiciary to provide for more transparency in the judicial processes. So the proposed amendment provides for the finality of the decisions of Court of Appeal in petition concerning an election and limits the tenure of the President of the Court of Appeal and High Court to 5 years. The amendments further provide for the tenure of the Deputy Chief Justice and aligns it with that of the Chief Justice. The amendments also seeks to introduce the Judiciary Ombudsman as a member of the Judicial Service Commission. Under this, we have several clauses. Clause 32 of the bill proposes to amend Article 164, that is about Court of Appeal, to provide for the finality of the determination by the Court of Appeal on the validity of any appeal related to an election other than a presidential election. The amendment further seeks to limit the tenure of the President of the Court of Appeal to a single term of 5 years. Clause 33 of the bill proposes to amend Article 165 about High Court to limit the tenure of the President of the High Court to a single term of 5 years. Clause 34 of the bill proposes to amend Article 166 about appointment of Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and other judges to enhance the qualifications of the judges of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal relating to their experience. The amendment provides the qualification of a judge of the Supreme Court to be 20 years, a judge of the High Court or Court of Appeal to be 15 years, and that of a judge of the High Court to be 10 years. Clause 35 of the bill proposes to amend Article 167, that is tenure of the Judicial Service Commission, to include the Judiciary Ombudsman as a member of the Judicial Service Commission. The amendment further provides that elected advocates in the Commission shall not practice in the courts and tribunals for the purpose of minimizing instances of conflict of interests. Clause 37 of the bill proposes to amend Article 172, and Article 172 speaks about the functions of the Judicial Service Commission. So it amends this Article 172 to provide a mechanism to enable the Judicial Service Commission to discipline judicial officers, including judges. Clause 38 of the bill proposes to insert a new article, that is 172A, the office of the Judiciary Ombudsman. So it proposes a new article 172A into the Constitution to establish the office of the Judiciary Ombudsman, which shall be responsible for handling complaints on the judicial process from the members of the public. Chapter 11, about development or devolved government. The bill proposes to amend the Constitution on the devolved government to provide for further clarity on the nomination of members of the County Assembly and powers of a county governor. We have several clauses here, and clause 39 of the bill proposes to amend Article 177, membership of County Assembly. It introduces the nomination of candidates through a party list. A political party will be entitled to nominate the candidates based on the votes received by a political party in an election, instead of the current status where it is based on the seats won. Further, it seeks to align the term of a county assembly to the election cycle. Clause 40 of the bill proposes to amend Article 179, County Executive Committees, to provide clarity that a county governor has powers to dismiss or reassign their county executive committee members. This ensures that a member of the county executive committee doesn't automatically vacate office when the person holding the office of the county governor becomes vacant. Clause 41 of the bill proposes to amend Article 180, that is election of county governor and deputy county governor, to enhance gender parity in the governance of counties by providing for the candidate of the county governor in nominating a deputy governor to consider a person who is not of the same gender. Get this, to consider is not a mandate, is not a right, is not a must, just to consider. We must get this clearly. Clause 42 of the bill proposes to amend Article 200 about legislation on chapter to require that Parliament to make legislation to provide mechanisms for the carrying out functions of certain functions relating to the Nairobi City County distributed to the national government. Well, hopefully I've not lost anyone. We are going slowly by slowly, chapter by chapter. Nobody should get lost, because my intention is that we really get to understand what the BBI report is trying to put on the table. Chapter 12 of the Constitution about public finance. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 12 of the Constitution on public finance to streamline various public finance principles and processes to promote efficiency and ensure rights guaranteed under Article 43 and strengthens devolution. Under this, Clause 43 of the bill proposes to amend Article 202 about equitable sharing of national and other financial laws to provide that where any revenue sharing in the Constitution is to be based on audited accounts and the National Assembly has not approved such accounts, the most recent audited accounts of revenue submitted by the Auditor General shall be used as the basis of revenue sharing. There are so many clauses here. Clause 44 of the bill proposes to amend Article 203, equitable share and other financial laws, to expand the criteria for determining equitable share to include the need to eradicate corrupt practices and wastages of public resources, the need to ensure that the attainment of the economic and social rights guaranteed under Article 43 and ensure the average amount of money allocated per person to a county with highest allocation does not exceed 3 times the average amount per person allocated to a county with the lowest allocation. Clause 45 of the bill proposes to insert new articles, that is 207A, about Ward Development Fund, that is WDF, that is, I guess, to replace CDF. It proposes to insert Articles 207A into the Constitution to establish the Ward Development Fund. The Ward Development Fund shall comprise of at least 5% of all the county government's revenue in each financial year and ensures equitable distribution and development in the wards of money allocated or collected by the county government. Clause 46 of the bill proposes to amend Article 215, Commission on Revenue Allocation, to reduce the number of members nominated by political parties represented in the Senate from 5 to 2 so as to balance the representation from the two houses. The amendment also provides for 2 members to represent county governors and 1 person nominated by members of a statutory body responsible for professional regulation of accountants. Clause 47 of the bill proposes to amend Article 218, Annual Division and Allocation of Revenue Bills, to streamline the roles and functions of the two houses of Parliament in enacting the annual division and allocation of revenue bills. The proposed amendment provides the procedure for the production and enactment of a division of revenue bill and county allocation of revenue bill, and the timelines attendant to the respective processes. The division of revenue bill to divide revenue raised nationally between the national and county levels of government shall be introduced in the National Assembly, which shall consider it within 21 days from the date of publication. The amendment specifies timelines within which the bill shall be considered by each house. The bill provides for the mediation committee appointed for purposes of considering the annual division and allocation of revenue bill to consider recommendations from the Commission for Revenue Allocation, county governors, and the cabinet minister responsible for finance. The bill further provides for the controller of budget to authorize the withdrawal of up to 50% of the minimum amount of the equitable share guaranteed to county governments where the Division of Revenue Act for financial years has not been passed by Parliament before the beginning of that financial year. Clause 48 of the bill proposes to insert a new Article 218A, County Allocation of Revenue Bill, into the Constitution to streamline the roles and functions of the bicameral legislature in enacting the county allocation of revenue bills. The amendments provides that a county allocation of revenue bill, which shall provide among the counties the revenue allocated them on the basis determined according to the resolution in force under Article 217, is to be introduced in the Senate and enacted by Parliament within a period of 30 days from the date of enactment of the Division of Revenue Act. The proposed amendment specifies timelines within which the bill shall be considered by each house and the veto power by the Senate. Clause 49 of the bill proposes to amend Article 220 or 220, that is form, content and timing of budgets, to require the proposed budgets of national and county governments to contain an explanation of the previous, current or proposed budgetary measures for the attainment of social and economic rights. Clause 50 of the bill proposes to amend Article 221, that is budget estimates and the annual appropriation bill. So this to streamline the process of preparing the budget by providing for annual estimates to be prepared on the basis of the division of revenue. Clause 51 of the bill proposes to amend Article 223, that is supplementary appropriation, to seeks to limit the supplementary appropriation to an emergency or if monies in the contingencies fund is insufficient to meet that demand. Well, there are so many articles or clauses. Clause 52 of the bill proposes to amend Article 224, counter appropriation bills, to free the preparation of county annual budgets from being based on the division of revenue bill. This is in light of the fact that a county government can prepare its budgets based on its own sources of revenue. Clause 53 of the bill proposes to amend Article 225, financial control, to empower the cabinet secretary responsible for finance to stop the transfer of funds to a state organ or other public entity or a county government where there are serious and persistent material breaches of the set out financial control measures, and to table the matter before the relevant House of Parliament for approval. Clause 54 of the bill proposes to amend Article 230 about salaries and remuneration commission to restructure the membership of the commission to make it lean and effective. Further, the bill proposes to add the commission with an added mandate to set, review, rationalize, and harmonize the remuneration of all state officers and public officers. Further, the Commission shall determine and harmonize the rates paid by national and county governments to professional consultants for service rendered. Chapter 13. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 13 of the Constitution of the Public Service to remove the national security organs from the ambit of the Public Service Commission. Clause 55 of the bill proposes to amend Article 234 about functions and powers of the Public Service Commission to remove the national security organs as one of the offices in the public service to which the Public Service Commission has no mandate. Clause 56 of the bill proposes to insert a new Article 237A, the Youth Commission, into the Constitution. The amendment proposes to establish and provide for the functions of the Youth Commission to, among others, promote the implementation of the rights of the youth under Article 55. Chapter 15. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 15 of the Constitution, that is on national security, to merge the constituent units of the National Police Service and to provide clarity on the unity of command in the service. Clause 57 of the bill proposes to amend Article 240, establishment of the National Security Council, to include the Prime Minister as a member of the National Security Council. Article 58 of the bill proposes to amend Article 243, establishment of the National Public Service, to merge the Kenya Police Service and Administration Police Service, that is AP, and integrate them into the National Police Service. Clause 59 of the bill proposes to amend Article 245, command of the National Police Service, to offer clarity on centrality of command controlled by the Inspector General of Police to the police service. Clause 60 of the bill proposes to repeal Article 246, that is National Police Service Commission, and replace with a new article establishing the Kenya Police Council that shall be responsible for overall policy coordination of the National Police Service. Clause 61 of the bill proposes to insert a new article 264A, Independent Policing Oversight Commission, into the Constitution to establish the Independent Policing Oversight Commission. Chapter 15, the bill proposes also to amend. Chapter 15 talks about commissions and independent offices to require constitutional commissions to enhance corporate governance practices in managing the affairs of the commissions and independent offices, and to include the Director of Public Prosecution as an independent office. So Clause 62 of the bill proposes to amend Article 248, that is Commissions and Independent Offices, to add the Independent Policing Oversight Commission as a constitutional commission to which Chapter 15 of the Constitution applies. The amendment also includes the Director of Public Prosecutions as an independent office to enhance the independence and budgetary autonomy of the office. Chapter 16. The bill proposes to amend Chapter 16 of the Constitution on general provisions. Clause 63 of the bill proposes to amend Article 259, constraining the Constitution to provide for the filling of a vacancy of an appointive office under the Constitution, and requires that the process of replacing the holder of that office shall commence at least 6 months before the lapse of the term of the office holder and conclude before the lapse of the term of that office holder. This is to ensure seamless transition and fewer disruptions in the running of the appointive constitutional state offices. Clause 64 of the bill proposes to amend Article 260 about interpretation to include the offices of the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, and Judiciary Ombudsman in the definition of the term state office. The bill amends the third schedule to the Constitution on national oaths and affirmations. Clause 65 of the bill proposes to amend the third schedule to include the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister as state officers who should take the oath or make a solemn affirmation as prescribed in the schedule. Similarly, the amendment seeks to include the Deputy Chief Justice as oaths for the Chief Justice or President of the Supreme Court, judges of the Supreme Court, judges of the Court of Appeal, and judges of the Court or High Court. Clause 66 of the bill proposes to amend the fourth schedule to provide the functions and powers on county health service, county transport, county planning and development, county public works and firefighting services and disaster management relating to the Nairobi capital city shall be distributed as function of the national government. Clause 67 of the bill provides that Parliament shall enact any legislation required by this Act to be enacted to govern a particular matter within the period specified in the first schedule. Clause 68 of the bill provides for the transitional and consequential provisions to ensure the seamless implementation of the provisions of this Act, especially in view of some constitutional commissions and state offices that have been reconstituted. First schedule lists the legislation proposed for Parliament to enact in order to ensure the full implementation of the proposed amendments to the Constitution. Then the second schedule outlines the transition and consequential provisions on various aspects, including saving terms of office of various institutions structured in the bill. And that is dated the 30th June 2020. That is what the BBI proposes. That is what the BBI seeks to change in the current constitution. And I will also, I'll just like to give my views on the Youth Commission and then end it there. So giving youth a 7-year tax break makes no sense. We must realize that. So the opportunities will be taken by the elderly members or leaders in the government. Of course, we've seen this happen before. So youth should never be treated as people with disabilities and vulnerable groups. Youth should never be appeased. We need opportunities that are reliable, opportunities that we can fight for, not appeasements, not being treated as people or as a vulnerable group of individuals. There are more youth in the county or in the country, thus youth cannot be appeased by being treated as a vulnerable group and also by being given the tax relief of 7 years, which they will never enjoy. I know you will never enjoy this. The moment you start up a business, this Kanjo people come up, everybody will suffer. The bill still proposes youth reps. This isn't good at all. Just as women are given positions, youth must benefit in the same way. We've seen that women are being given positions. It must be realistic that also youth must be given these positions if at all the government or the BBI report is proposing to give women positions. Because women and youth are falling in the same category according to the Kenyan Constitution. It has been very difficult for youth to get the 30% public procurement provisions and the existing youth funds. The BBI hasn't stated how this will be implemented. Those are the loopholes in the BBI report. We've been having youth funds. We don't know where the funds are going to. It has been implemented, but youth have never benefited from it. The youth fund has been looted by those in power, and no youth has benefited from the funds. Thus, on this, BBI is null and void. Before even the formation of the Youth Commission, let me talk about the NYS, the National Youth Service. It's also there to help the youth. But has it helped any youth? No, it has helped the elderly people. Do you remember the scandal involving Waiguru and the other people, where it involved stealing of billions and millions of money? Are those youth? Is Waiguru a youth? Hey, yes, we must realize that BBI is coming to fool us as youth. I'm only focusing on youth article. I'm not going to focus on any other issue. So, we've had NYS, we've had youth fund, yet no youth, absolutely no one, I repeat, no one has benefited from this. NYS, nobody has benefited. NYS, the only thing that NYS is benefiting Kenyans is making youth go sweep the mitaros, do cleaning of the streets. If you complain about the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, giving wheelbarrows, and then you are saying that graduates will be riding wheelbarrows. I also pose the same questions. The government is making our youth, graduates, to sweep the streets, to clean up the streets, the terraces. So, you mean that now our graduates are only supposed to sweep the streets, to clean the streets, instead of giving them positions? We are watching, and I've told you, Kenya hii haina upungufu ya wajinga. Kenya is not short of fools. Or Kenya isn't full of fools. Hatuna upungufu wa wajinga Kenya hii, whereby you will fool our youth. I'm here to defend the youth. And as Alex Matere was saying, that the BBI report is in support of the youth, that is null and void. He was saying to appease those initiating the BBI report. And I'm here to give you the limelight. And I've outlined each and every step in this report. It is up to you as a citizen to think through this and make a good decision, a good choice on whether to vote yes or no when the bill comes to you. On the youth fund, we've not seen those funds. They have been looted, stolen, and who are stealing? Not youths, elderly people or older people in the government. And of course, Uhuru has employed so many older men in his government compared to the youth. And he has said that youth should fight for these positions. If youth should fight for these positions and you are giving them only one slot in this BBI report, what do you mean? If you are allocating women positions, 47 women's senators, I don't know, you want 47 women's deputy governors or what? Why can't you allocate such opportunities for our youth? Why can't you do that, Honorable Uhuru and Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga? Why can't you do that? You cannot appease youth, thinking that youth are fools and they'll just follow whatever you put there for them to follow. The formation of the Youth Commission is an appeasement and never a genuine thing. Youth need an independent platform where they aren't taken for granted. We need a platform where we are not influenced. We need a platform that is independent, whereby we can make our own decisions and the decisions are not affected or infected by the president, by other organ of the government. Just as we've made or we are planning to make the DPP or the Director of Public Prosecution an independent body, make Youth Commission an independent body if at all this is true. We have NYS and all it does is to help people loot funds. NYS hasn't been of any help to Kenyan youth since all those managing it are elder people who focus on their own interests. I guess you remember the scandal I was talking about. Fellow Kenyans, fellow youth, especially youth, I am here to give you a limelight, to tell you this. I've read the BPA report. I've analyzed everything for you. It is up to you to realize where you stand. It's up to you to realize whether you are voting yes or no. I'm here to give a limelight of this to the youth, because whatever has been planted in our minds, whatever we have been brainwashed with, is that BBI advocates for inclusivity. Inclusivity of what? inclusivity, and it hasn't talked about the 17 things I've talked about. I've analyzed it up to chapter 17. Of course, the BBI report at Bomas did not foster on this, did not focus on this. Citizens were never told of what was in the report. It was not until the media came out clean on this. I don't have much to add on this other than telling you, citizens, youth, that is a high time you realize that the government is playing tricks on our minds. The government is playing tricks on us by appeasing us, by making us a vulnerable group of citizens, by making us people of disabilities, yet we have our minds. We are very eligible, we are very educated, we are very innovative, very creative, yet the government cannot give us such positions, such opportunities to explore our minds. It pains a lot to me to create this channel for youths who don't want to make use of this channel. And I've said, and as I've said also earlier on, this platform is for you to raise your views, to come up. And I know one day, one time, we shall have the youth revolution and everything shall be heard. Our views shall be heard and everything shall come to pass. The issue of us being appeased, the issue of us being given this youth commission, what for? And then Alex Materi is very happy that is representing the youth. Which youth are you representing? I talked to one of the people you interviewed about the BBI report, who happens to be my neighbor. I can even bring him here one day and interview him as a youth. You invited him to an interview to give his proposals, and he gave his proposals. He was telling me this morning that his proposals have not been included in the BBI report. He proposed that the Senate should be abolished, that there should be no Senate. Women rep should be abolished. But about this, he read the report and he was flabbergasted. He was ambivalent that his views were not represented in the BBI report. This exactly means that these people are going out, you interview people, you get their views, but at the back of your minds, you already have what you want to put in this BBI report. And as I said, about the executive, the prime minister, deputy prime ministers, those positions are null and void. They already exist. If it is the prime minister, we have the majority leader. If it is the deputy prime ministers, we have the deputy majority leader and we have the chief whip. And if you're talking about the official opposition, then in the parliament, you just tell us that you are talking about the minority leader. Nothing else. There's nothing this BBI report should complicate issues. Or complicate, like, sorry for that. You are complicating issues. You are making Kenyans more confused because these positions we are already seeing them. The minority leader, that's the official opposition. He will be in the parliament, of course. The minority leader is in the parliament. The prime minister, which is the same as the majority leader, and as I've outlined, or as BBI has outlined it clearly, the functions of the prime minister are the same functions of the majority leader. The functions of the deputy prime ministers are the same functions of the deputy majority leader and the functions of chief whip. They're the same, Yawa. What's the problem with this? Why do you want to waste money as people are dying of hunger in other places? Why does the government not waste resources as other people are languishing in poverty? People are languishing in poverty. And of course, I've said, and I repeat to put my citizens in limelight, that the BBI report has come up to cover up the scandal or the KEMSA scandal. Where has this investigation reached? President Uhuru gave 21 days. Right now, we are at 40 days. What has been investigated? What has been investigated? Kenyans really want to know, what have you investigated? Instead of coming up to cover us with BBI report, so that whatever you are discussing is BBI report, instead of this KEMSA scandal. We are not forgetting about the KEMSA scandal. We shall continue remembering the KEMSA scandal. Get it right. And I've said, Kenya is not short of fools. Kenya is not fool. We are so many fools in this country, and you cannot fool all of us at the same time or together. Reconsider your steps in the BBI report and come out clean. Munaongezea wananchi mzigo, na wananchi wasipochunguza, wasipofuatilia msimamo wao vizuri, and I'm telling you the truth, no one will bring those copies to you. Take it to the bank. No one will print copies and bring them to you to read them. You'll only be hearing rumors, interpreted things. And for me, I've read for you exactly as it is written. It's not from my mind. I've read it as it is written. But leaders will come to you with interpreted versions. And whatever they talk is inclusivity. I've only seen inclusivity once. And inclusivity are telling me about the Prime Minister and official opposition. What is that? They already exist. These positions already exist. What happens? It already exists, Yawa. If it's the majority leader or the Prime Minister, the President can sack him. The same as the majority leader, the President can dismiss him. Anyway, to make the long story short, please make sure you read the report. If you don't have the report, reach out to me. I'll share the same report with you. Otherwise, I wish you well. And I tell my fellow youth, think twice before voting yes for this BBI report. Personally, I've made my choice. I've read the BBI report. I've seen no sense it makes on our youth. I've seen that it makes no sense to me as a youth. It only appeases us. It doesn't give us our own integrity, our own liberty, our own independence. As I conclude, let us take good care of ourselves. Let us monitor our leaders. Wamevalia ngozi ya kondoo, kumbe ndani ni mbwa mwitu. Sisi ndio tutalia baadaye. Na ningependa kuwasia kwamba tusije kulia. Tusome hii ripoti ya BBI. Tufafanue vizuri. Wale ambao watakuja kutufafanulia hii ripoti watatupa information ya uongo. Watatupa ujumbe wa uongo ama taarifa za uongo. Ingekuwa vyema sisi wenyewe tukisoma hii ripoti aidha kwa makundi ama kivyako. Otherwise, I have no story. I've ended my story and I've told you the BBI report has no benefit to a common mwananchi. The BBI report does not bring food on the table of a hustler. The BBI report does not bring food on the table of a mamamboga. The BBI report does not bring food on the table of that wholesaler, of that retail trader, of that small-scale trader or businessman or woman. The BBI report is here to increase our tax, to chew our money. But we are watching. This race, the BBI report, the BBI thing, the referendum won't be easy. Take it from me. Thank you for watching this. I'm your host, Apush Ruben, and this is Youth and Politics and Apush Apul Show. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Please watch the video, like the video, also share the video. Give us your comments. Don't be fooled. Make good use of your opportunities. Don't forget that Corona is real. Wash your hands, sanitize, maintain social distance. From my side, it is a bye-bye. Thank you for watching.
Assalamu alaikum madada na makaka, wazee kwa vijana.